Greetings, everyone. You have certified personal growth and development coach and certified law of attraction specialist Keith Young, back again with resetting 100% of your consciousness, part 2. So in part 1, we spoke a little bit about mental rehearsal, and there are two parts of mental rehearsal, your inner part and your outer part. And we went through a study where a group of people learned to play the piano physically and one that learned how to play just in their mind, and the same amount of brain circuits were created in both. So let's take a look in part 2 here of another experiment. And this is where they actually took a group of men and had them close their eyes for an hour a day, and then had them mentally rehearse doing bicep curls over and over again. And then they added an emotional component to it and called for a stronger, more intense workout with these curls. And they put themselves in the first person internal image. And then at the end of 2 weeks, they had a 13.5% increase in muscle strength. They never actually performed the actual activity of doing the bicep curl. Not only is the brain changed to look like the experience has already occurred, more importantly, the body has changed by thought alone. Stop and think about that for a second. That is phenomenal, that our brain can actually change our body once we believe it in our subconscious mind. You see how we're programming the future there. The body looks like it has been working out for 2 weeks. So what this is telling us is the power of mental rehearsal of imaging primes the brain in the body to look like the future has already occurred. When you set the extent of your limit and you can image what you can do even further than what's normal, that is when you are stepping into the unknown. Your body is going to follow your mind because the experience has already happened. You know, the challenge behind all of this is that people have to understand that there is a journey that they have to take. 95% of who we are by the time we're 35 years old is a set of memorized set of behaviors, emotional reactions, beliefs, perceptions, attitudes that function like a subconscious computer program. 95% of who we are is a habit, and it's programmed in the body as well to keep doing something so many times that the body knows how to do it better than the brain. Your body feels it. So if that's the case, in the body knows more than the mind, then we act unconsciously and we behave unconsciously. That means we are not aware of how we act or what we look like. We are not even aware of what we're feeling because it just feels like our normal self. The goal then is to go from the old self to the new self. You have that moment that you step into that river of change, and the body has conditioned to be the mind, and the body doesn't like the uncertainty, as it would rather cling to its guilt and would rather cling to its unworthiness, cling to its fear. That's keeping you in your comfort zone. The moment the body starts to feel uncomfortable, then it's been conditioned to be a minor. It starts sending signals back to the brain, and the brain starts to say, yeah, you can start this tomorrow. As you know, this isn't really going to work for you. You know, it's not the truth because, you know, you're a failure. It starts saying things like, You're too much like your mother, or you'll never change. This doesn't feel right. That is the body trying to unseat us. And if we respond to those voices, if it's true, that thought leads to the same choice, which then leads to the same behavior that creates the same experience and produces the same emotion. And then our subconscious mind says, this feels right. What it is really saying is that it feels familiar. Going from the old self to the new self is the neurological and biological and the chemical and hormonal genetic death of the old self. We do not want to white knuckle it here and just hang on for dear life, because if you white knuckle it, that unknown that we're in, that void, is going to feel familiar, and we're not going to get through it. So the question becomes, what thoughts do you want to fire and wire in your brain? What do you want to put your attention behind? What behaviors do you want to demonstrate today in your life? So this is the end of part 2. We're going to talk about rehearsing your behaviors in part 3. And then in part 4, I'm going to teach you how to use some of this mental rehearsal that we're talking about and how to meditate into that mental rehearsal. So again, stay tuned for part 3 that's coming up. And as always, wishing you much abundance, prosperity, and success.